Joining us now, or I saw maybe Sharice just joined us a few minutes ago. There should be a poll up on your screen with a list of 10 questions. All right, I've just shared the results, so thank you to everybody that completed it. Let me know if you can't see it. What's great, and we're going to talk about everything in this webinar today too, is that most of you are aware of nasal breathing, how you breathe throughout the day, how you breathe when you exercise. There are a few in here may have indicated around allergies, brain fog, ADD and ADHD, and we're going to talk about those or know somebody that has one. But most importantly, I think everyone on this call has indicated that they're aware of their breathing in some aspects. And so hopefully what we can cover today in this in the basics course is really honing in on what functional breathing is. And if it's not throughout your day, all day, at night, then what are some few tips to kind of help you and why that paints a beautiful picture for you in the health of your life? Because if you're like me, breathing was something that I may or may not have practiced during meditation, right? Because it was built into meditation. And if you went to yoga or any type of guided meditation, it was something that they talked you through. But outside of that, it was just a 10-minute, 45-minute practice that I did. I didn't pay attention to my breathing at all throughout the day, nor did I leverage it for my health and know the benefits that I was actually going to get from doing it in a proper way. So we'll go ahead and close that. So first of all, I want to congratulate everybody on this call for taking one step forward. And so even though you've all indicated that you know about breathing, you're coming here from a place of what can breathing really bring to me in my life, right? And so at every various point of life, everyone steps into this a little differently. And for me, again, I had picked up a practice of yoga a few years ago. That's when I first learned about breathing. And even then, I know the instructor would even pick on me because I would breathe through my mouth most of the course, right? And so every time we experience something new, we learn, we do it differently. And I personally just got very in love with learning about breathing because it's a gift. It is one of life's gifts that we just don't think about, right? And we don't think about our brains in that same aspect too. And that's why we built this into the whole Brain Mavericks mission, which we'll talk a little bit about here before we dive in. But we're afforded these life's gifts. And if we truly use them to our advantage, then we can live the most healthy, optimal, healthy life that we can. And that's what I'm here to hopefully show you. So hopefully you walk away with painting a different picture for yourself. So before we dig into functional breathing, many of you might not be aware of what Brain Mavericks is. And so I want to at least provide somewhat of context of where this is even coming from and why you might care. And so a few months ago, we started a company called Brain Mavericks, which what we first thought of was, well, how can we spread awareness around what we call brain health? And so Stanley Dietrich and I, who's on this call actually as a co-founder of mine, wanted to figure out how we could gift that back to other people. We went through training, but we were trying to figure out what's the best way to find a way to get people to be the hero in their own story. And so we came up with this journey of Brain Mavericks, and within that, we have the mnemonic brain, and one of the very first pillars of that is breathe. And it's truly a life's gift that not only gives to your overall health, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but your brain health and how impactful that is, because your brain requires 20% of the intake of oxygen on a daily basis. That's how important it is for you to focus on getting the right amount of oxygen level and other gases like nitric oxide and CO2 flowing through your body and to your brain so that you can function properly, right? So that you can sleep well at night, you can not have brain fog, you can execute impeccably. And so that became one of the foundational pillars that we hope to empower you to own in your own life. So where does it come from? You may have seen some of these stats before, but Alzheimer's disease is a significant impacting thing out there for everybody. 16 million people are estimated to have Alzheimer's disease, which is a really severe form of dementia. So that's alarming, right? That's estimated to cost about 321 billion to 1 trillion by 2050. I mean, those are just outrageous numbers to think about. And, you know, personally, we have Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that in our family. And so I'm dedicating my life towards understanding this and helping everybody else figure out what it means to them and their life and where they're at with their journey. In the solution that we came up with, if you've had a chance to visit Brain Mavericks at all, you probably noticed there's many different capacities and pillars within there around a coaching hub, a community hub, because we want to empower other people in their community to help gift people to be their hero in their story too. A resource center, and then what you guys are engaging in today, which is education, right? Education for your health as well. So very briefly, I'll touch on this, but our mnemonic of brain. So breathe, rejuvenate, element, ignite, and nutraceuticals. And so these are foundational levels that will give you the best optimal, not only overall health, but optimal brain health for your life. And so we're going to talk about breathing in a basics format today. There's many different courses that we have on the site already around functional breathing, and then there'll be more to come on how to get in depth if you're truly curious about it. Rejuvenate, you know, sleeping, rejuvenating the cells in your body, regeneration, all those type of things. Element, food health. What do you put in your body, right? How that matters and how it drives your life. Ignite, and most times we think about this as exercise, but this could also be ignite as far as the heat that you create in your body, right? And what does that look like? Maybe cold therapy. And leveraging that for your body. And so Ignite has many different facets of it. And then nutraceuticals. So we may all be familiar with the term pharmaceuticals. Well, nutraceuticals is a new term that really relates to nutrients and supplements from food sources, like plant-derived sources, that you may be missing in your diet today. And there's a lot of things that you can help uncover to figure out what that looks like to you. And most importantly, what Stanley and I and Brain Mavericks really stands for is helping you be the hero in your own story. In other words, wherever you're at in your life, how can we help you get to where you want to be and help guide you through that with our expertise and our education that will help advance you further to where you want to be in any of these areas. And hopefully that means a thriving, brain healthy life, and you can turn around and gift that to others around you and your family. Be that voice for other people as well. So functional breathing, as I mentioned, if you can just imagine, like when we're all born, if you look at a baby and you watch their breathing, you can tell that their belly is moving up and down, right? It's just naturally, visually, you can see that. Over time, though, what happens is environmental factors, external factors, diet, everything else that kind of impacts us around our life changes the way we breathe if we don't or we're not taught the proper ways to practice how to breathe. And so babies are born to naturally breathe from their belly and their diaphragm area. But then now we know as adults, most of us breathe through our mouths most of the time, unless we're trained on it. And what that leads to is, imagine if you're somebody or you know someone that struggles from snoring. I know I do, right? And I know that I have in the past, even myself personally. Imagine somebody that has sleep apnea and CPAP machines and devices to help them sleep at night, right? Or maybe that's you. And so what ongoing research is starting to show us is that a lot of this is stemmed from improper breathing, meaning if we constantly breathe from our mouth, then all of a sudden we're impacting how we breathe when we sleep at night. And it's restricting our airways. It's even causing facial deformities in kids and everything. So there's pediatrics that are actually recommending breathing techniques to slowly change the facial structure of kids. This is how important this is and how often that we go unnoticed. And so what are some things that could happen for you? Well, poor immune system. We're going to talk about it, but your diaphragm is a centerpiece for a lot of different places in your body, including stability, spinal stability, your lymphatic system, and then also all the various different things with your immune system and how it controls all those different levels that I talked about as far as nitric oxide, oxygen, and CO2, which all matter in your bloodstream and how they transfer. Increased weight gain. There's an incredible book written by James Nestor recently called Breathe that actually did some clinical studies around, because we grow up and breathe improperly most times through our mouth, we actually increase weight gain because we have too much excess oxygen and CO2 that we carry around. And so in some of these studies, they went through some extreme breathing practices with people that actually saw amazing weight loss out of breathing, just breathing alone, because they were carrying that around with them through their whole life. And then we talked a little about facial structure, and then poor sleep. Even if you're somebody that doesn't require a device or a machine to help you sleep, or you aren't someone that snores at night, it still could be impacting your ability to have quality sleep, right? To actually hit the different cycles of sleep that are needed so that you can wake up refreshed and not starting off tired and feeling like you need the coffee every morning, right? So what does it look like? Breathing from your chest, something that we kind of naturally do when we're stressed. If we're not trained at it, we slowly start to breathe from our chest because we feel like that's the way we can get the most oxygen. I mean, if you're like me in any type of sport or anything, or you feel winded or you're a runner, when you got done, you would, if somebody told you to, you would put your hands on top of your head and they'd say, take a deep breath. Well, how are you going to take that deep breath? Most times it's going to be through your mouth because nobody told you not to. And that's where you feel like you can get the most air, right? And so it's the same thing with stress. When that stress level raises, it actually causes you to think about getting the most oxygen, which is through your mouth, and then also using your chest. And so that's kind of what a definition of what improper breathing would look like. Again, with your mouth open, exercising with your mouth open. And so what's great is I think everyone here said that they are aware of how they breathe when they exercise. But have you ever noticed when you get out of breath how you exercise? Because I thought I was in the greatest conditioned shape ever, but whenever I go for a run or I do an intense workout, I notice that I open my mouth, right, to breathe because I feel like I'm lacking oxygen. And so when we do that, we're actually training ourselves to intake all that oxygen, which really we don't need, right? We're over oxygenating ourselves. And so that's a form of dysfunctional breathing. Sleeping with your mouth open. If you look over and observe your partner, or if you have somebody observe you and your mouth's open when you're sleeping, that's a sign of chronic mouth breathing throughout the day. Because if you are constantly breathing through your mouth throughout the day, well, naturally, habitually, you're going to do it at night. And so that's an interesting thing to look at as well. Deep breaths we talked about through the mouth, and then fast breathing. And we're going to do a small demonstration towards the end of here just to show you the real power of light breathing in and out, like truly slowing your breath down and what that feels like. Because most times throughout our day, we are breathing too fast and too much. So what are some benefits of functional breathing? Reduces anxiety. And so as I alluded to in the quiz there, but there's a lot of studies right now going on around ADD and ADHD and how they're linked to improper breathing, because when we breathe through our mouth, we're actually overstimulating not only the oxygenation of our cells, but we're overstimulating parts of our brain. And it's making it too hyperactive for us to be able to focus. And so there's a lot of clinical studies being done around helping patients with ADD and ADHD do certain paced breathing techniques to see that reverse in their cognitive ability to manage that. Reducing depression, being able to actually slow things down a little bit and realize and take control of your thoughts has been very powerful. Reducing inflammation. Again, your diaphragm is connected to all those various different organs and is truly impactful to maintaining your immunity and stabilizing that within your body. And so it reduces inflammation. And most of us, especially, we get coined. I think everybody on this call is truly from the United States. So Western American diet, right? Which is the foods that we eat that are very high in what we call omega-6s or saturated fats, processed foods, and it causes a lot of inflammation. Well, if we enjoy those foods, we can actually leverage breathing to help us maintain that inflammation. It improves our metabolism. It actually improves our sleep, we talked about, inspires gratitude. I don't know if you've ever practiced meditation and breathing, but it really does. Like, it elicits gratitude because it allows you to slow things down and appreciate life of where you're at and what you have. Sparks creativity, which is a great one. Alkalines the blood. And so this is important. So oftentimes when we're really stressed, our blood currents are too electrified, which means that they're acidic. And acidic blood is not good because it doesn't transfer well to your organs or used well. And so when we breathe properly, we actually can alkaline our blood, which is a really fascinating concept. Improving blood oxygen levels, reducing stress, and then helping with focus and attention. And I'm going to share a short little tip towards the end here about how you can leverage 12 minutes of your day to actually get back focus and attention when your mind wanders, which statistics show us that's 50% of your day. No matter who you are, the average person, 50% of your day, your mind wanders. So what does it actually look like? Breathing in through your nose, because when you breathe in through your nose, your nasal cavity is actually equipped to not only elicit nitric oxide, but it acts as a cleansing system. So it warms the air before it gets to your lungs, and it also cleanses the air. There's studies out there now correlating too with COVID around helping people that are not very good at breathing through their nose go through a practice of breathing through their nose, because it actually improves the amount of pathogens and toxins and everything that we breathe in. And if we breathe that in through our mouth, we're not doing it justice because it's going directly into our body without actually being cleansed. And that's what our nasal cavity job is to do. Breath inhales and exhales from left to right. And so if you're familiar with belly breathing, you might put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly and focus on your belly raising up and down, right? Well, the most proper way is to actually feel it go left to right or east to west. And so you would put your hands down right above your hips, and you would feel the breathe in and out of your diaphragm left and right. And that's the most proper way of functionally breathing. Slowing your breaths down. And so many people, when we talk about breathing, they've tried a box breath or a number counting breath, a paced breath, any number of things. Maybe you've dived into Wim Hof, which is like extreme breath holds and everything. But oftentimes what doesn't talk about is how fast you breathe in and how fast you breathe out, and why that matters. And we could slow it down, because igniting just a little bit of air hunger, or what feels like you need more air, is actually good for your CO2 levels in your bloodstream. And so it's very powerful to do that. Lowering your shoulders. Naturally, like if most of us work with a computer or anything, we are spending most of our time with our shoulders just a little bit raised, right? Because we're typing or however that is, or maybe even most of our days when we're walking around, we're a little hunched over. And so sometimes when we get stressed, all of those bad habits start to peak up. And when we're breathing with our shoulders raised, and that's actually restricting our ability to breathe properly. And so just thinking about where your shoulders are from a postural perspective makes a huge difference. And then breathing light and focusing on your breath. And so not only being aware of how you breathe, but are you thinking about it? And are you able to slow your mind and count your breaths down? So as a trained breath coach through Oxygen Advantage, and Patrick McKeown is a world-renowned breath expert. He created the Oxygen Advantage. He trains athletes, and he's written a few books. But one of the companies and principles that he goes by is the Buteyko breathing principles. And this is 3 levels of what they truly mean if you think about breathing in any perspective. And that is, breathe so light that no one can hear or tell that you're breathing. Like it's so light that nobody even knows that it's there, right? Breathe so softly so you can't hear yourself breathing is definitely a proper way of breathing. And then breathing softly so you don't feel that you're breathing. In other words, if you can feel your ins and outs, it's improper breathing, probably likely due to stress or raising your stress levels as well. So as promised, what I want to do is go through a little bit of an exercise about what all this means, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of information here, but what could I leave you with so that you could really think about what does breathing really mean to you and your life, and what does a simple practice mean so that you can get started. And so what I want to do today is, as a group, is go through a few of these steps, and I'm going to guide you through it. So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and close your eyes, lower your shoulders. So see where your shoulders are at. Place your hands above your hips. Okay. Now what I want you to do is take a slow breath in, counting to 4, and I'm going to give you an example. So it'll be like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then out for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then again in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I want you to really feel, as you keep going, counting, I want you to really feel above your hips, moving in and out. And if you can feel your chest raise at all, try to think about that and lower that back down. And it's natural. Now imagine when you're breathing in, feel the cool air that you're breathing in through your nose. Feel how cold it is, and then feel how warm it is when you breathe it out. That is the amazing process that your nose provides to you. Cold air in, warm, cleansing air out. And when you choose to focus on your breath, you also get to slow your racing mind down. And it's okay if your mind wanders, but bring it back. Just focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on this last one, I want you to really sit there and slow it down and feel how you can feel it throughout your body, how energizing and amazing it feels to slow it down. Literally slow down your breath as much as you can and slow down the breath out and just feel it. And when you're ready, go ahead and join us back. Excellent. So that was literally only 3 or 4 minutes, maybe less than that. But hopefully you felt that, because that's truly how amazing that breathing can be. And I would encourage you to do that multiple times throughout the day, however medium you feel like, anywhere. The amazing thing about your breath is you can practice it anywhere and anytime, right? Where a lot of other things, like it's, well, I need this, I need my phone, I need my computer, I need shoes. You don't need any of that for breathing, just you. And so I hope this was helpful. I do want to leave the last few minutes with questions, and then as promised, you will receive an email with a number of different discounts and stuff to courses and services. If you're interested in checking it out, you'll be able to have that. So look out for that in the next few days here if you're looking to dig in some more. But I do want to leave a few minutes here for questions if anybody has them around breathing, their own practice, any way I can help.
Troy, is it ever good to like breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth?
Yeah, so you can do that. And actually, there's no really restriction on that. The only thing that I would encourage you to do with breathing through your nose is that sometimes it can clear out your nasal cavity when you do that. It also trains you to keep your mouth closed. The more that we keep our mouth closed, the better. Because a lot of times we should be only speaking and eating, and then when we absolutely have to, using our mouth to breathe, right? Otherwise, we shouldn't. And so anytime that you can train yourself to do that would be best. Now, I will say too, you can leverage a breath out through your mouth if you're going through humming or nasal unblocking activities. And so one short one I like to share when we speak in schools, like I'll get a lot of kids that say, well, I have allergies, so I can't breathe through my nose. And, pretty common question. And so what I offer them is so what you do is you plug your nose and you hold your breath and you pace 3 to 4 steps. And then you breathe back in through your nose and back out through your nose. And then you pace again. And you do that 5 times. And you'll naturally feel your entire nasal cavity open back up, whether you have allergies or not. And so that's an exercise where I would be okay if they open their mouth, if they're truly needed the air, but not at least when they're doing the nasal blocking exercise. So that's helpful.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
How do you not breathe through your mouth when you're sleeping? Obviously, when you fall asleep, you don't know what you're doing, right?
Yes.
So just the more you do it throughout the day, the more you're going to do it at night.
Absolutely. Plus, there are things to help, and so there's this is going to sound absurd to many people, but there's mouth taping. There's 2 different perspectives of mouth taping, which is you can get one that actually tapes over your lips, which is a little uncomfortable, but you can also get one that goes above your lip and below your lip, and it keeps maybe a little bit of a gap, and it actually helps with it too. As far as using things when you sleep at night. Otherwise, have someone observe you and see whether or not you are breathing through your mouth. But naturally, practicing throughout your day will do that. Plus, when you actually focus on opening up your nasal cavities and all of that, you will do that you will sleep with your nose open because you're not actually inhibiting restriction. That's the whole reason that we do that when we sleep, right? We slowly build up congestion because of inflammation, because our body at rest is going through a detoxification phase, not only in our body, but in our brain. And so it causes all this inflammation and congestion. So if you manage that throughout the day with nasal breathing, you'll slowly start to see that you're closing your mouth more at night.
Thanks.
Excellent. So I know I briefly mentioned a minute ago too about humming. If that's of curiosity to you, humming, it can be an amazing tool for breathing. It can be a lot of fun too. So if you're curious about that, we wrote a blog post about it yesterday with an awesome link in a short video to how you do that. So if you're curious about that, that's fun too. I've left the contact information here where you can find us, but expect a couple of emails coming your way with additional information. And then we'll find a way to stay tuned with you for future events, not only around breathing, but other areas of health as well. So thank you so much for joining the call, and hope you guys have an awesome day and breathe functionally through your nose and through your diaphragm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troy.
You're welcome.